Get this. So it says analyze the worked example that shows integer long division and polynomial long division. Those are just integer long division is what I did up here on the board. There's an example on that previous page, and then the example, other one I kind of showed you right there. That's an example of polynomial. Okay, so you need to know that the steps are very similar. Like I've been saying since we kind of started, you're going to divide, multiply, I'm going to put bring down here. Sorry, that's the fourth step. Let's do cut. You're going to subtract and then bring down. It's going to just be those steps over and over and over again. Okay. One important part that you need to know, and if you have room down below, write it there, but zeros will be used as placeholders. And we'll talk about that whenever we see an example of it. Okay. So whenever you divide a polynomial by another polynomial, if that actually is a factor of it, you will not have a remainder. If you get a remainder, then that polynomial, okay, for example on this one, 2x plus 3, that would not be considered a factor of that. Okay, so on that example, and it worked through it at the beginning, that would not be a factor because there was a remainder on it. Okay, let's go through, let's make sure that we're clear on, whenever you divide these polynomials, what your answer should look like. So make sure we know what, these terms, what a dividend is, what a divisor is, and what a quotient is. So if it says consider 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 17x minus 30 divided by x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, whatever you're dividing by, whatever you're dividing into, that is the dividend. Okay, which is going to be this right here. This dividend has a degree of what? 3. Okay. The divisor has a degree of what? Degree of 2. Right. And let's think about our exponential rules. If I just do x cubed divided by x squared, what's that going to give me? If I divide like bases, what do I do with the exponents? That's if I multiply. Subtract. What's 3 minus 2? 1. So the quotient on that one, which that is the answer, is going to have a degree of 1. So if you know you're dividing an x cubed, a degree of 3 polynomial by a degree of 2 polynomial, make sure that you have a quotient that has a degree of 1. On the second example there, the dividend has a degree of what? 4. The divisor. So what is my quotient going to be? 1. If you're afraid that you're going to forget those words and the definitions, it might be a good idea somewhere on your paper to write this. A dividend, especially how we're going to write this, divided by the divisor. Your answer will be the quotient. So those are all probably terms that you learned in 5th grade, 7th grade, somewhere around there. And that last question, how does the degree of the polynomials affect the steps? It doesn't affect the steps. Okay, whether you're dividing a cubic by a linear, or you're dividing a 7th degree by a 3rd degree, or you're dividing a 17th degree by a 1st degree, the steps are always going to be the same. Alright? Yes, sir.
I go like walk to the bathroom and back when I'm not going to fall asleep. I'm really tired.
Yes. Alright, so now we're going to get into all this. Let's go here. Turn the page over. I'm going to do my best to fit this up there, and I'm going to zoom in on each problem we work on so I have plenty of room. My best advice here is to write small. Okay? So, if I'm dividing the cubic by the quadratic, okay, the quadratic is out here, and I'm dividing the cubic by that. I need to move that down some. So then I've got 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 17x minus 30. Okay, so the good news about this, and something that might make this look like it is a different process than this, is you're only, whatever the first term is out here, that is the only thing you're going to divide by. And you're going to go through here. Yes, ma'am. Did I write something wrong?
Why did you do x squared plus?
Because I wrote it wrong. It's EJ's fault. Yep. Okay. So even though you've got these three terms out here, where whenever we just did a regular division problem, we just had a number. So this almost makes it look more difficult. It's not. I'm going to end up dividing, this term and then the terms I bring down just by this. I don't, whenever I'm dividing, I don't even look at the rest of the terms. First term only. So if I divide 2x cubed by that first term, which is x squared, what does that give me? 2x. Okay. I'm going to try to do this color-coded here for you. So 2x. Now I'm going to take that. So on this regular problem, we took the number that we got up here and we multiplied it out. Now I'm going to have to take that 2x and multiply it by all three terms though. Okay, so 2x times x squared is going to be what? 2x cubed. 2x times negative x is going to be what? Negative 2x squared. And then 2x times negative 6 is going to be what? Negative 12x. Now, whenever I come down here, so I got all that from distributing the 2x. I divided, I multiplied, next I do what? Subtract. I've got to subtract this whole thing. So that does not mean just put a negative right there and that's it. If I'm subtracting a polynomial, that includes that. So what does that negative do? What does the negative do to these three terms? It changes all the signs. Okay? So you can do one of two things if you want, and I might recommend this early on, is go through there and write in, okay? Go over them and write the opposite signs. Okay? Or if you can just go through and do, okay, this was minus, but I know it's opposite, so 3x squared plus 2x squared. Okay, either way. So now I'm going to go down, 2x cubed minus 2x cubed. What do those two do? Cancel. If you've done it correctly up to this point, that first term will always cancel. What is 3x squared plus 5x squared? 3x squared plus 2x squared. 5x squared. Negative 17 plus 12 is what? Negative 5x. I've multiplied, I've divided, I've subtracted, and then I do what? I bring down. So I bring down that minus 30. And then I just start over. Okay. What's the only thing I'm dividing by? The very first one. So I find this, and I divide it by that. 5x squared divided by x squared is going to be what? Let's write it out here. Just 5. Okay, because those x squareds will cancel. 2 minus 2 is 0, so you don't have the x anymore. So I'm going to have plus 5x. Sorry, plus 5. Oh, jeez. I blame the Packers, Tanner. Okay. I divided. What's the next step? Multiply. So I'm going to take that 5. Just like on this one, I took the 9. And that second one that I got, I multiplied it by the 3. Now I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to multiply it by all 3 of these. So 5 times x squared is what? 5 times negative x is what? 5 times negative 6 is what? Remember, I'm subtracting the whole polynomial, so that changes the signs. And if you need to, go through and physically change the signs. Okay. So 5x squared minus 5x squared is what? Negative 5x plus 5x is what? 30. Negative 30 plus 30 is what? So I do not have a remainder. Okay. All right. Questions on that process? Case is happy to be here. I can already tell. All right. Has everybody got that written down? Okay. Let's go to the next one. So I'm dividing the 2x cubed sorry, 6x to the fourth minus x cubed minus 18x squared plus 14, nope, plus x plus 14. And I'm dividing that by the other one. All that, which absolutely looks miserable, okay? But I can tell you right now that the process of this problem is going to be shorter than something like this, okay? Because if I'm dividing a fourth degree by a third degree, what's my quotient need to be? What degree? 1. Over here I'm dividing a third degree by a first degree, so my quotient is going to be what? 2. The higher degree that your quotient would have, Madison, it's going to make the problem, that means the problem's going to be longer. Okay, that means you have to do the divide, the multiply, the subtract, the bring down. You're going to have to do those 4 steps. You're going to have to repeat them more. Okay? On a problem like this, each individual step may be a little bit longer, but you're not going to have to repeat them as much, if that makes sense. So, what's the only thing I'm going to divide by on this? 2x cubed. That is it. So what is 6x to the fourth divided by 2x cubed? 3x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1, so x to the first. So I've got 2x, 3x. I'm stuck on the last problem. Okay? So now I'm going to multiply that out. 3x times 2x cubed is what? Okay. 3x times negative 3x squared is what?
Negative 9x cubed.
3x times negative 2x.
Minus 6x squared.
3x times 3.
9x.
And I'm going to go through here. And this time I'm not going to change the signs. I'm just going to go through it. I know I need to do opposite the sign. Whatever the sign is, I'm doing the opposite operation. So I've got 6x to the fourth minus 6x to the fourth. So what do those do?
Cancel out.
Should they always cancel out?
Yes.
If you're doing it correctly, then yes. Negative x cubed plus 9x cubed is what? 8x cubed. Negative 18x squared plus 6x squared is what? Negative 12x squared. X minus 9x is what? Negative 8x. What do I need to do next? Bring down my 14. After that, Casey, what's the next step? I divided, I multiplied, I subtracted, I brought down, so do what?
Divide 8x, or 8x cubed by 2x.
Okay, so now just start over. Okay, instead of this one, now I'm working with this and this. 8x cubed divided by 2x cubed is what? Now just do the same thing over again. So 4 times 2x cubed is what? 4 times negative 3x squared. 4 times negative 2x. 4 times 3.
Plus 12.
Is everything going to cancel out?
No.
What does not cancel out? the 12 and the 14. What's that going to end up giving me down there? 2. Positive 2, correct? Okay, so let's talk about how we need to write our answer. There's nothing else to bring down. So that's our remainder. We need to make sure that we're good on writing our remainder correctly. If you end up with a positive number, okay, then you're going to have 3x on this one. 3x plus 4 plus 2 over your divisor. So if you have a remainder, you have to write the remainder as a fraction. Just like we did up here. We had the remainder of 2 and I put it under the divisor to get 2/3. It's just now it's a polynomial, so it looks a lot more complicated than it actually is. No, I don't do that. Okay, just so that, we got time for that one. So let's look at, let's go to B, 3B. Did everybody get that? Do I need to put that back up there? Do what? You got it, Cam? You good? All right. Just checking on you. All right, let's go to 3B. I know we're kind of jumping around here, but this one's already set up for us. What's the only thing I'm going to divide by on this? X. So this one should be pretty easy. What is x cubed divided by x? X squared. And you'll see how we're going to do those 4 steps. We're going to repeat those 4 steps more because our quotient's going to be a degree of 2 or a higher degree of 1. So x squared times x is what? X squared times negative 4. I got to subtract, so I'm going to go through. I'm going to do opposite the operation. So the x cubed should cancel. And what is 2x squared plus 4x squared? Alright. Okay, so on the previous 2, once we've gotten this step, if I'm remembering correctly, now whenever I bring down, what do I bring down? Okay, do I bring both down? No, you're only going to bring one down. Okay, remember over here, we only brought the 7 down, and then we had to divide, multiply, subtract, and then we only brought the 8 down, divide, multiply, subtract. So I'm only going to bring down one term at a time. So I'd bring down minus 5x. And after that, Jeremy, what do I do?
Then you do 6x squared divided by x.
Which would be what?
6x.
That's just positive. That's great. It's absolutely positive. Okay. 6x times x is what? Six x times negative 4 is what? Go in, I do opposite the operation. So my 6x squareds do what? Cancel. Negative 5x plus 24 is what? 19x. And then I bring down the 16. After that, Tanner, what do I need to do?
The next step.
That is correct. I need to do the next step, which would be what? Mr. Foss. Help Sleepy over there.
You divide 19x by x.
Which would be what?
19.
19. Nineteen times x is 19x. 19 times negative 4 is
76.
19x is cancel. 16 plus 76 is what? 90 what? You sure? Do I have anything else to bring down? So that is my what? Okay. So I come up here and I just do R92, right? No. You got to make sure that there's a fraction. So, all right, this is kind of in the middle here. So x squared plus 6x plus 19 is a positive 92, so I can just do plus, and then 92 over x minus 4. Questions on that? Okay, so the next one we're going to do, it has something different about it. And it's something that a lot of people overlook, and it gives it, and obviously in turn, you know, they get it wrong. And you've got to really notice it, and we haven't ran into it yet. But looking at 3C, can somebody tell me what might be different about 3C than a lot of the problems that we've looked at? Okay, so that kind of goes with it. It does what? There is no cubed. Okay, and I told you that, you know, what did I tell you on that very first page we filled out? What might we put in there? 0. You've got to make sure that on your dividend, the degrees go in order. Okay? It cannot go from 4 to 2 and it be okay. It's got to go 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay? 3, 2, 1, 0. 2, 1, 0. Whatever. So whenever we write this out, okay, I'm dividing by 2x minus 3. Then you come in, I've got 4x to the 4th. And then I'm just going to put plus 0x cubed. Plus 5x squared. Minus 7x plus 9. And then after that, it is business as usual. Spencer, what's the only thing I'm going to divide by in this whole problem? 2x. Okay. And then, Callie, I'm going to divide what by 2x first? 4x to the 4th divided by 2x is going to give me what? 2x cubed. If you're not comfortable with your exponential properties, and by that I mean knowing whether or not to add your exponents or subtract your exponents, make sure that you come in. Okay, that's not something, we briefly touched on it this year. It's something you learned in Algebra 1, but it's just not something we can spend a lot of time on. So if you're kind of confused as to how we're getting that cubed in this situation, you need to be coming in. 2x cubed times 2x is what? 4x to the 4th. It's alright. You ready for this one though, I think. What's 2x cubed minus 3? Or times negative 3? Attaboy. Subtracting all of that, so I will go in and do opposite the signs. Again, my first ones cancel as they should. 0x cubed plus 6x cubed is what? I only bring down my 5x squared. And then I start all over again. So Jade, now what am I going to divide? What two terms am I dividing now?
6x cubed divided by 2x.
Which is going to give me what?
Would it be 3x cubed?
3x. So 3, I'm dividing x cubed by x, right? So what is 3 minus 1?
Oh, 2.
2. And I'll make a point whenever we're done with this that might help with kind of knowing what that is going to be. So now I'm going to multiply that. 3x squared times 2x is going to give me that 6x cubed. And then 3x squared times negative 3 is going to give me what? Negative 9x squared. Those cancel. 5x squared plus 9x squared is going to give me what? 14x squared. Bring down my negative 7x. Okay, so I'm going to finish this one up here. It will be uncolor coordinated. Hopefully you're okay with that.
Unacceptable color.
Yes.
That's the bathroom.
Let's wait till we're done. So if you got 30, positive 30 as your remainder, got it right. Okay, I want to talk about a couple things, just things that you need to be aware of, because this process is obviously it's extremely long, and I kind of told you. Okay, here we got a 4th degree divided by a 1st degree, so that tells you that you're going to do that process. You're going to repeat those 4 steps quite a bit. Now, each individual step, may not be as long as if we did a 4th degree divided by a 3rd degree, but you're going to repeat those steps quite a bit. One thing that Eden pointed out, whenever you get down here, you're never going to multiply a number that doesn't have x on it by this up here. Okay? And at that point in the problem, there shouldn't be anything left to bring down. So that's going to tell you, okay, I'm done with that. If I have a number, it's my remainder. If it comes out to 0, like the first problem we did, then your answer would just be that right there. Okay? Jade, whenever we're talking about the exponents there, whenever you're getting your quotient, and this will maybe kind of help you reteach the exponential properties, whenever you get your quotient, your degrees should go in order. Okay? Cubed, squared, 1, 0. Okay, so just kind of be aware of that. Let's on page 423, you've got some problems that look very, very basic equations. I do want to go through those just so. And it's one of those things where it looks so basic that it almost makes it difficult. Let's look at B. So if I'm dividing f of x by g of x, f of x has a degree of what? 3. G of x has a degree of what? So our quotient should have a degree of what? 2. So I'm dividing by x minus 1. How many placeholders should I have? 2. I need one for 0x squared and 0x. Okay, so just walking through one of these with some more placeholders. X cubed divided by x is what? x squared. Okay. X squared times x is going to give me x cubed. X squared times negative 1 is going to give me what? Negative x squared. Opposite the operation, so my x cubes cancel. And then I've got 0x squared plus x squared, which is just x squared. Bring down my 0x, and then that's when I start over. X squared divided by x is what? Multiply that over. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. Okay, and so the x squareds cancel. 0x plus x is x. X divided by x is what? Plus 1. Then whenever I multiply that, opposite the operations, I get that. Okay, now I'm gonna